Sign up now at elevate.miami.edu for my course, Organized Rhyme.
Looking at the word legacy, while involving some wordplay, I'll use the first syllable to build upon. We'll use the first syllable, leg. For the second syllable, we'll use an. And for the third syllable, we'll use the word knee. So now we have leg and knee. Can we use it in context with legacy? Let's just see.
What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of What Words Are Worth. And today I got a producer, rapper, writer, director, does it all, videos, anything you name that's part of the culture. He has done it. He's done it on a high level. He represents Delaware, but also Philadelphia, coming from PA as well. He's worked with a lot of your favorite artists. He's worked with artists such as myself, also artists like Bilal. It's just a long list of people out there to name. He's well regarded as one of the best producers out there, soulful producers out there as well. R&B, hip hop, whatever you need, he got it. So coming to the stage, as I said, this guy is a one-man army with doing everything. Welcome to the stage, Hezekiah. Let's go.
Man. Yeah, man. How you feeling?
Yeah, I'm great, man. Just so they know, before I did this intro to get you on.
Smiling all crazy. You got my fault.
Yeah, man. Nah, it's all good, man. We were talking about Boogie Monster's 30th anniversary you brought up, man.
Right. Yeah, man. Them cats. This show is about artistry. And them cats, man, unspoken, unsung heroes, man. Their depth of what they were rapping about was on like it was on that Erykah Badu level type,
Yeah.
Before that, it's their songs, man, especially like Mark of the Beast and stuff like that, and Negative Stress and Honey Dips in Gotham.
Right.
And it's just how they wrote. It's how they wrote, how they approached the sonics, and Scott Storch had something to do with their sonics.
Yeah, that's what you were saying, Scott Storch. So I didn't know nothing about that. I think Scott Storch, all I think of the Dre era, kind of. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But that was all like Roots crew. Scott used to be part of the Roots. You know what I'm saying? He used to play upright bass in the band and everything when they used to be on the street corners and stuff.
Yeah, so we would just kind of talk about that before I was letting him know, like, I'm bringing him to the stage and stuff. But yeah, man, this is special, man, because like we've done music together, but I think like you're mad underrated, you know what I'm saying? So it's dope to like share whatever audience I got with what you do, and there's nobody that does not work with you that you don't enhance. You know. So like throughout my career, and I always try to share the reason why it's important for me to share with y'all, because as artists, sometimes we don't know the effect that the other artists may have had on other artists. So like throughout the years of me coming up, I always heard of Hezekiah and what you were doing. I was a fan of. So it was dope for me to work with you, because it's like when I got to work with you, it's like a milestone moment for me. Like, oh, yo, I want to go ahead now.
That's right. That's how I felt about you too. Because I'm like,
that's real for me. It's real for me.
That's crazy.
Because dudes is living in different worlds, and a lot of time, because us being artists, especially dealing with underground, we're so tied up in just trying to make it to the next project.
Sure.
That we can't even sometimes choose to work with our idols or friends and family, because we're just trying to get a project out to uphold our contract, whatever it is, or stay prolific or this and that. So for those out there that wonder why we don't always work together back then, I would say more so we was dealing with just trying to stay afloat and stay relevant in the game.
And we suffered the most because we got caught up in that whole. Our careers got caught up in that whole. Our distribution was like just dismantled. You know what I'm saying? The mom and pop shops is how we survived and everything. All that was dismantled. The download and the Napster and all that stuff killed us. And so when you and I were collaborating, we were collaborating in the middle of that.
Yeah.
You know, and like the yeah, yeah, that was a
Yeah, it
crazy
was,
time
man.
for us to link up. But I'm telling you, man, the way you handle yourself business wise as an independent artist, it just showed who like we were and who we are as hip hoppers. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But we don't hip hoppers, real hip hoppers don't work with each other. We work don't work for each other. We work with each other.
Yeah.
You know
And
what I'm
I
saying?
asked you, I wanted more no I want you to elaborate about that as well. Like
Yeah,
meeting you and working with you, it felt like collaboration is like a huge part of that, right? So I actually was wanted to discuss that with you as far as like you working with other people. Like how important is that for you when you're creating songs and making music, you know?
it's very important because you learn. Okay, as a producer, right?
Yep.
And as a producer who likes to compose songs, right?
Right.
So I like to be as much involved in the song as possible.
Right.
Especially when it's best when everybody's there at the same time. Um, you, you as an engineer, you get to learn so much from all the artists that come to your studio, and every artist has a different process. You got to listen more, but you got to still direct at the same time, but still don't suck out the magic. At least still leave wiggle room for for and respect the other person's magic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And trust the process. But then the other person has to trust the process too.
Yeah. That's
Like
kind
like
of
like
how
what? Like
that's how,
one time I engineered Zap Mama. Zap Mama, like you know Zap Mama from Morocco.
no, I don't know, but
Zap
listen.
Mama is incredible, man. Um, I engineered a session. My boy had her in the studio. She was like taking jugs and blowing in them to make beats and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
beatboxing through jugs and all the harmonicas and crazy stuff. And she just took my mind to another realm of possibility as far as production.
Right.
Like every artist is like that, but then the engineer gets a lot of that experience and becomes like your 36 chambers.
So you're the type of person that one of the producers that like when I wanted to work with you or knew about working with you or working with you, I always loved the fact that hearing a Hezekiah track, if you're singing or doing the hook, like the soul, this is like soulful, or you're like, or there's instrumentation on there, or like somebody singing the hook, like I knew that there was gonna be an elevation of whatever beat I got based on the soulful element. So what made you fearless of trying these things? So you see people doing these things, but you know, you can see people doing these things, but yeah, they wild and you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But then you were like, yo, I'm gonna try this.
Because I'm not even. Some people say everything under the sun has already been done, but like Royster 59 say, people say sky's the limit, but then they tell you there's footprints on the moon.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like people have that sky's the limit attitude. Everything under the sun has already been done, but then you can't. How do you explain evolution? You know what I
right.
mean? So I like working with artists that have no boundaries because then I get to try all my ideas. Some artists I have to just restrain myself because I know that's not where they're at. Um, my favorite to work with is Bilal.
Yeah.
That he anything I just scream on this part, do this part, you know, he'll just do it. And if it doesn't work, we add it and work, and it's no big deal. Some artists they get. I had this one girl cry in the studio because she was so nervous she couldn't just try different things. And I had to just back off. I was like, oh, this is really pressure for you to, you know, to get out of your comfort zone. She had an incredible voice. I just heard so much possibilities in her.
Yeah.
But you have to respect the receiver of the message too. It's like giving somebody, dropping too many jewels on somebody and taking their brain to, like snatching somebody out of the matrix.
Right.
For some artists, they have this comfort zone. Some artists, man, they only hear themselves without auto tune. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then you find out there's things you got to work on as an artist. And artists that are content, they never grow.
Yeah.
They
I
have.
always I was gonna say my experience with you in the studio is I always thought it was dope because you communicate well with artists. Like how you are now on here, like how you talk, that's his demeanor talking to you about something and he's excited about it. And I
Yeah,
think
man.
that's a huge thing about your demeanor, like being real leveled and finding that groove of how to talk to artists. Is that from like being in the studios and seeing other producers do that?
Yeah, I had to learn that. I wasn't always like this, trust me. Ask my sister, man. My sister's the dopest rapper like you ever meet. And my experience from working with somebody that's like so, she don't care what I'm her brother. She don't care. She gonna tell me, and she would just lay me out. You know what I mean? And working with her was like one of the biggest eye openers as far as studio etiquette and communication
Okay.
from a engineer. Um, and yeah, I had a few experiences that really, yeah,
Yeah.
trial and error.
Yeah.
I guess do you learn that in engineering school? I didn't go to engineering school. Do they teach etiquette?
I don't think so, man. I got
Oh,
my boy Zard. He works at Full Sail. He helps with the course design, but I will ask him that though. But I
yeah,
don't I don't think they teach etiquette necessarily from if I thought about it. But I do know that as you experience various personalities,
right.
everybody, you got to watch how you say this to that person. And it's so wild because you've worked with artists of all calibers. So sometimes you got the person that's on a high caliber that's open to whatever you say, and the person that ain't really accomplished nothing, you trying
Yep.
to help them, they'd be like, nah, yo.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the thing. And dang, but you end up hurting yourself.
You do.
You end up
You,
hurting yourself by I got a saying: if you force it, you break it, you buy. You're gonna have to pay for that shit. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
that's my thing now. Don't force it. You know what I'm saying? If it's not for that person, that information sometimes is for you, and then you might be breaking the vibe that that might just be cool, and
Yeah.
trust the other person's process also and where the other person is.
Yeah. We
Yeah,
can't
I
see
messed up.
ourselves.
I messed up a few projects trying to force my vision on a project. Even when it's my project, I have a vision, and I know the the I can hear the level of the artist and what they can do.
Right.
Sometimes you don't know that some artists are good at leads and they can't do harmony.
Yeah.
They can't do harmony. A lot of artists can sing their butt off but can't do harmony. A lot of artists can't sing lead. They can just sing background. They know some. Yeah,
Well,
it's
let's talk about that, right? Because I did want to know, like, so what's your origin of becoming Hezekiah? Did you take theory? Did you have
I
to know
couldn't sing.
theory?
Yeah, I had to work at it. I'm not a natural.
Okay.
I'm my like I keep bringing my sister up. That's my favorite rapper. So she's a natural. She's like Jay-Z. She hasn't written on paper since she was like 15.
Right.
She was good at that telephone game. But me, I'm taking like 2 weeks to write a verse because I'm so meticulous with what I'm gonna say, how I'm gonna say it, um, the thought process of the in and out of the overall 360 degrees of the conversation within the message. Like I don't like writing rhymes where you can take the first for first bars and then just rearrange them, and then the rhyme still says the same thing. I used to have a introduction, a climax, and a conclusion to like most of my writing. That's like good, you know. That comes from like, that's my pops listening to country music and stuff like that.
Okay.
So yeah, my pops, he from Kentucky.
Okay, so and then like what when you was coming up, that's pretty much like you was listening to different styles, and then kind of like what led you into saying, yo, I'm gonna produce? Because I know you rap as well. So which one came first, the rapper or the producer? Or at the same time?
The producer, I think the producer came first. My uncle, he had a band called the Gospel Disciples, and so we grew up with his studio in the basement. And this is like, you know, I was born in 72, so this is like me young, 9 years old. You know, me and my cousin, we just grew up with the band in the basement. So we would watch them cut tape and, you know, like reel-to-reel tape and record. And so I was privileged in that way to be around it, to be around studio. And then my at 12 years old, my aunt brought my cousin a 909, a Roland 909 drum machine, and then he got about a 4-track. So then we're in the basement at like 13, you know, you just recording. So that's how we started producing, with my uncle on guitar, and then my cousin with the TR 909. Live instrumentation with digital from the beginning.
So being that you do both rap and I got some questions on here, man, that's been causing chaos between people, but it's gonna be you. I gotta ask you these questions because it's funny to get this answer. Check it out. Here we go.
Okay.
Drums first or sample first?
Huh.
The guy, this has been crazy. This all the producers.
I'm gonna tell you straight up like this. I do melody first. I do melody first. I chop the sample first. Find a melody in it, and then I'll sometimes lay bass after the melody, and then I'll punch the kicks on the bass, making sure they're locked in, because I wanted the I don't know, that's my favorite instrument, bass, upright bass. So I like everything following bass.
Wow.
So I work sample, chop, then bass line, and then drums, because I don't want the drums to dictate my rhythm, because there's always rhythm in everything. So as long as you got a click track, I'd say let the rhythms come second, because melody is king. When you learn the ABCs, you don't go tap 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 tap. You don't go. You can't even do it, the rhythms, without doing the melody first. A B C D E F G. You know, like melody is king. So always get the samples, the bass line, and then start adding rhythm.
Okay.
I don't know if that's backwards in hip hop, because hip hop is so drum driven. But I always say, you know, in the beginning there was the sound, you know.
Yeah, nah, it's dope for me to hear, because like I'm interviewing some of the dopest producers, and hearing everybody's angle of how to do it. Everybody different, but then
there's no wrong answer, because you see the results. Yo, that's one thing.
Everybody loves their position on it. Like, nah, yo, I'm gonna rock it like this. But there is no wrong answer, because all the beats that everybody I'm talking to are fire. So it's interesting to think what that would be like if there's like a retreat where all of y'all together, and it's like y'all trying, you know what I'm saying, to see, because a lot of times you're making a beat by yourself. I'm writing rhymes by myself. We're doing stuff a lot of time by ourselves. But it would be interesting for the person that's so adamant about drums first or sample first to kind of work around. Have you ever worked with other producers that did it the opposite way?
Talk about taking you out of your comfort zone.
Right.
Yeah, because you got to get out your way. You got to get out of other people's way. Yeah, I did. I've done that. Me and Mr. Sonny James. You know Mr. Sonny James, my DJ.
I don't think I may have met him.
Yeah, we would do we would do joints together. We had a studio next door to each other.
Right.
I started doing more collabs. Me and Tone Whitfield from Johnny Popcorn.
Yep.
That's Bilal's bass player. We've done a lot of tracks together. A lot of my. I remember meeting somebody like, yo, your bass lines changed my life. I'm like, they don't even know that's Tone Whitfield.
Yo, but let's talk about that for a second, because a lot of beats now, no drums, right?
Mm-hmm.
Got no drums on some, and then bass lines, no bass lines. So what's your feel on that, right? It's kind of like, man, I remember years ago, I'm just hearing the new joints. I'm like, bass line done. It's just a drum kick, snare, couple of hi-hats. You know what I'm saying? What's your thoughts on that?
I like it. I like it all because you know, we from the digging era, right?
Right.
So when we used to dig for records, we fell in love with Lionel Hampton. We fell in love with Ramsey Lewis.
Right.
We fell in love with Monk. We fell in love with all these obscure artists, Dorothy Ashby, and all these. So them type of sounds are lush, and they have movement to it. And when we listen to them, especially as a rapper producer, we would sit down and just start rhyming to them. While I'm making it, before I'm making the beat, I'm just vibing to them, rhyming. So that's what this no drum hip hop sounds like to me. It just sounds like me in my room rapping to the songs, the beats I'm me searching for samples, and being a rapper producer. So that's what it sounds like to me, and I like it because you can hear the lyrics and you can vibe out a lot. It shows that hip hop has more just it could be more what did Wizker say? Or what is it, Spectre Deck? Words are kinetic energy translated through the air in rhyme form, giving sight to the blind. The dumb are mostly intrigued by the drum. J Electronica took away the drums. Is that a good enough answer for you?
Yeah, I guess you're basically saying, to me, you're saying like,
sometimes the bouncing ball gets in the way of the message.
The message.
The bouncing ball, I love it.
The message. I get what you're saying totally. Because
right.
you do get to hear like, because a lot of times
together, you know, you're dealing with hip hop. You're dealing with knowledge and knowledgeable cats. Like we can see things like, you know, we listen to lyrics, and we get the knowledge from the lyrics. So, you know, like him saying that line, Inspector Deck saying that line was kind of like Thelonious Monk saying what he said about music and theory and history and being it being a spiritual thing. Even Vince Staples said there's no such thing as musical genre. These are just African spirits moving around until someone calls it a genre. Bob Marley said, he said this lady asked him, what's the difference between calypso and other Caribbean musics? Caribbean music and all this other stuff. Bob Marley said, there's no difference, man. We just move the chinky chink. You know, it's just mathematics moving around. And that's how I look at songwriting. That's how I look at making music. The theories of Sun Ra, the theories of Thelonious Monk, sound geometry study, John Coltrane, his sound geometry, his whole, because you know he was a physics.
Right.
He's a physicist. You know, he went to college for that. That's what he went to college for. So if you look up those old interviews and listen to them talk, this is how I think about music. Yeah, you get a little bit of Monk, a little bit of Coltrane, a little bit of Sun Ra, a little bit of, this is all how my brain, you know.
So does that, I guess that would explain like your writing style, right? So when you're writing, what is the main message you're trying to get across? Like the storytelling aspect with it? Are you trying to show the empathetic side of you, the sympathetic, you know, the tales of the street? What's the focus when you're rapping? What would we say Hezekiah is this type of? I mean, I know you're eclectic, but like, of course,
I'm a nerd. I'm a freak. I'm a nerd. I'm a freak. I'm a geek, but I'm dangerous. That's it. peaceful warrior, uh, and someone who's forever growing, who exposes his mistakes, and they say you are gonna. You could be your own worst enemy if you wanna. You can't run from it, but you can change karma. But how you change the company you keep when you're a loner? See, I was always comfortable in my skin, where most kids would do almost anything to fit in. And my white friends converted to being full-fledged skinheads. Hi, Hitler, hating niggas, but you cool heads. With that said, I'm surprised I ain't rapping like Dead Prez. It seemed far-fetched, but this is real life shit. This is real life to me. Can't take this from me. All my high school bullies, I confronted them in my 20s now. That's when to grow on, just chalk it up to growing pains. I know sometimes I be tripping with my baggage claim, blame it on low self-esteem. I apologize, that was just me blowing off steam, and I know it stings. Just let me lick my wounds. I could be the life of the party, or I can clear a room. But admit when I was wrong, damn it, yeah, I said it, I did it, I admit it, and regret it every second. I was growing up.
Yeah, man, I appreciate the bars, brother. I think, honestly, that's why I love doing this, man, because it seemed like the camaraderie of it, like dudes is like, yo, check this verse out. Because Hezekiah, when's the last time you really called somebody to check a verse out?
Right. Because we summing up, or I'm watching you when you do your classes, and I could hear after, like, we cannot talk for a while. And then I hear your rhyme. I'm like, oh, I see where he's at. I see. It's like a interview, like an interview of you of where you're at. And man, your growth. You were always smart. I remember when you first started the academic world and started diving into it.
Yeah.
And the conversations that we had back then, your foresight on it is what you're doing now.
Yeah, man. I mean,
like you had it thought out.
You were doing that for a while too, though. You've been doing it.
Yeah, but I'm saying to see it and to hear it in your rhymes and to hear that what your rhyme is.
But I think that's reflective of you, because it's really about me being a fan of what you do and listening to what you do and what you say. So me asking about your writing style, you just throwing out bars right now, but it made me reflect on the fact of those moments of how we became us. And like you sharing bars just now, it definitely has been something that I brought up recently of how we've aged so much and got so many responsibilities that dudes don't really call the share rhymes no more. It's kind of like I might send you the song. I might send you the verse on the song. Say, yo, get on this. I might send you, you know what I'm saying? But I really appreciated hearing you spit the bars, because it really, for us in the audience, is like, yo, you just going in, and that essence usually was us on the corners and open mic. And you say a rhyme, then the next person want to rhyme. So just hearing that natural instinct of you just rhyming, for me, is special. Not only just in the essence of rhyming on the show, of course, is dope, but like for me, it's like, damn, dudes don't even be rhyming like that no more. Like just really, you know what I'm saying?
Outside the studio, they don't cipher outside of without a camera there. They don't
all of that, man. And so
exercises, man.
I wanted to also ask you about, so pen, paper, computer, phone are in your head. So I know this answer, but what are you doing with the bars?
It's funny. No BlackBerry, so I'm pulling the paper out. Call me paper boy, I'm going the paper route. I'm a freak of nature. Someone call me treacherous, I'm naughty by nature. So it's like sometimes I it's either pen or pad, right? I never write in the computer, never write on the phone. Something about scribing it. It's something, but what I've been doing for the last it was Freeway. It was a session I had with Freeway. You know, we learn from different artists. So Freeway, what he would do, he would just go in the studio, punch in every line, boom, he'll write it right in the computer, line for line. Sit there for a second, Give me the next. Okay, get bop, 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 bop. Okay. And he'll do that. Bop, bop. Next thing you know, you got a whole song. And I started writing like that. It was because it's like his jazz and his patterns, it allows him to be more of a musician vocally. So now you're not stuck to the words, you're not a slave to the words.
Yeah.
It's like you're using, so that I learned from Freeway. And then when I started writing for Bilal, I used that same technique that I learned from Freeway. And I would have Bilal just scat. He just scats. It was a what he said? What was it? What he say? That's what he said on the track. It's this track produced by 88 Keys called Think It Over. I took his scats home and I said, I always thought we'd be forever, like King and Coretta. I thought we could change the world, but I needed air. I stepped out on the balcony and the world took me out, you know? And so I would just take his scats and hear what his scats were. And he has an album coming out September 27th. What's the name of this album called? But September 27th, and I wrote like 9 of the songs on this album, and I produced one on this album. And but that's how we did everything on this album. He was scat, and we would sit there and scribe. Just listen to the scats. What are the scats saying? You know, just keep the syllables, keep their inflections, everything.
Yeah, I think that's the best technique. That type of style. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I always think that's the best way to get flows and all of that stuff as well. So I remember coming to the studio and then you was telling me you were doing that, and I was like, what? That's when you expressed to me all of that, like, yo, I go in there, a couple bars and this and this and that. So with that being said, then how long does it take you to write the verse on the song, the beat, you know?
Well, that always have a hour-long conversation, so we can make sure we're not, because when we don't communicate, we don't come to knowledge, wisdom, understand. We don't come to the understanding of what we're both rapping, singing about, or writing about. Then you're gonna have friction, and then you're gonna end up explaining to each other in the middle of the flow. You're gonna break the flow. So a good conversation to have understanding before you even start a writing session with a group of people or a person, so you can get a clear perspective. Like we got a song called Conditional, you know, so because you have 2 types of people. You have conditional love and then you have unconditional love. So this relationship is this relationship is under conditions, or is it unconditional? You know, that's what that song's about. There's another song on the album where I think Bilal gave me like some kind of like some Altoids with like weed or something. And he said, oh, take one. I took 4. Wow, pop them joints.
Oh man.
He said, no. Right. So we writing. Hour later, I'm yelling at him. Motherfucker, I said no hook. Y'all R&B niggas always want hooks. They can think Wu-Tang, no hooks, right? So I was jacked up. The next day, I woke up and listened to it. I called him. I said, yo, this joint ain't got no hook. He said, you kept yelling at me, no hook. Yo, that's on that live joint with Robert Glasper. Common's rapping on it, but that song has no hook. But daggone it, what the heck is that song called?
So that's
he changed the name.
That's the time process for you said an hour conversation and kind of
hour
building
conversation,
before that.
and usually after that, everything starts flowing. So it's usually an hour conversation and an hour. So about 2 hours tops, you get a whole song.
Okay, so you're making the beat at the same time?
Nah, that's songwriting. Making the beat is a totally different thing. So
Okay.
a few of those songs, like Conditional, he played the keyboard, he played the piano first. Remember that old broken down piano on the side of my studio?
I remember you used to turn to the side and have a keyboard right there.
Nah, okay, it was a broken anyway. So yeah, he would play that piano, and then we'll make the music around the piano.
Okay.
Yeah, so that'll be another hour, so like 3 hours. 3 hours tops, you got a whole song written.
So then what are we doing when you're doing the song? Are you doing chorus or verse first? What's your process on that?
I do it top to bottom from the scat.
Okay.
And yeah, it's top to bottom from the scat, unless we have a hook first. And then we'll work. That's crazy how it works. If I got a hook, I always got to write the connecting bar before the hook, and then go to the beginning, and then it bridges. It's weird. Always.
So you're saying if a hook is 8, whatever the case, 4, whatever it is you want it to be, the 16th bar or whatever that 16th bar or
15th and 16th bar, I'll write that and then go back to the 1.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's something to think about.
Climax. Sometimes you just want to know where you. I don't know. It's like first instinct. Sometimes it don't work. Sometimes you record it and then you mute it, and then you record the natural instincts of the last bar, you mute it, and then you scat the whole thing again to see where it takes you that way. But I always end up picking the one I wrote prior. Always, mostly. Yeah.
I think that's dope though, because
that's crazy. You asked that question.
Yeah, I try to get into the minds of like the artist being one I kind of can navigate a little bit, but like being that I admire what y'all do, I only could navigate but so far, and then y'all got to take over the car and drive me the rest of the way. So so then once you got the chorus or the verse first, and once you start doing it, I know you could do the punching method for the bars, you do that, but how about, what do you feel about that when people say I gotta go straight through the verse, or it ain't, you know what I'm saying?
That's them. Then they gotta come back and re-record it, because that's their process. They like that, so I gotta just bow down to that. Some people, and they're usually right. Yeah, but what I do is I have them take multiple takes.
Yeah.
And then choose the best lines. Line for line, the best. I'll usually do a monotone take, right? Through the whole verse, do a monotone. Now change it, do it a more animated. Do this one yelling. Do this one da 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 da. Then I'll just then I'll start slicing emotions now, and getting the best. Then what they usually do is they like it so much they want to memorize, take it home again, and memorize that way in that flow, and they'll do that.
I think that's dope. I never thought about that. I've never heard
compensating
somebody, mixing up the lines from the emotions and putting together. I mean, of course we've done, say that over, do this over, this and that. But the technique you're saying is say it like that. I got that. I like how you said that line. I'm gonna just kind of sew it together.
Yeah, and you got Logic.
I got Logic. I got Logic on this computer
Logic,
right here.
You can loop record, right? And then you push the little triangle on the side. It'll show you all the takes. Then there's a tool you can pick each line, right? All the way down to the 16th bar, right? and then you hit merge all tracks together, it'll just be like boom, make it all one perfect verse.
See, I even know that. I use Logic in my classroom with the kids. So I try to keep it very basic for them to record.
Right.
But then when I'm recording my own stuff at home here and all that, I'm on Pro Tools.
Right.
So
yeah. Pro Tools doing it too.
I got a basic understanding of Logic, but I know how many people love Logic because it's like right there installed on the computer and stuff like that. And but I've been using the Pro Tools, but I think it's just interesting the fact that one, you know that technique, so it saves time, because at first it was sounding very meticulous, you know.
Right.
I thought it was gonna be, but now you have like a procedure and strategy about it. I think people are gonna probably they're gonna use that idea, which is what this show is about. So I think that's dope.
And especially when you're by yourself too, just go in the booth and hit that loop record, say the verse over and over again when you recording yourself, and just try it different ways.
So then what do you do? What do you feel like as far as writing in the studio? Like, do you like writing in the studio, or do you prefer to like write everything at home and then come to the studio?
As a rapper, man, I'll say I like writing. Okay, here's another take. Because I like to make sure all my lines mean something. So in my voice notes, I'll have, you can, on the phone you can punch in. You know that, right? On an Apple, you can if you got your note, your voice notes, your voice memo app, if you record, you can actually punch in and continue the recording. So I just have a whole bunch of, so say I label one called girls.
Yeah.
Or cocky, right? This is all my cocky bars. I just keep punching in. Even if it's a month later, I go to that cocky one and just add the lines after. So then I got a whole bunch of cocky bars. So then when it comes time to me to write a cocky rhyme, I got a whole with the cadence there. So it's the cadence there and the words too. It's not just on. So I remember everything. So now I go into the booth and then I'll write it down, remember the cadence, and then I'll go into the booth and spit it. That's another way I write.
So with the writing as well, so how important is it for you to tell stories when writing, especially writing R&B? You definitely got to have a sense and care about the writing story, because you're trying to convey a message to somebody, get people. It's an emotional thing, but rapping too. But so what's that like for you when you're writing a song, gauging, is the story good?
Is the story good? I usually don't write it unless I lived it or I know somebody that lived it. So it's I know I felt it. So as long as I got the people, places, things, the smell, that I'm painting the atmosphere and I'm painting the emotion. Entendres are important, but not. It's more about the description of the story. Once I figure out I painted a picture. Yeah. Once I got the picture painted, I think that's when I think it's good.
And then you have like this, I guess, uncanny way of like, I'll be listening to a song, I'm like, all right, this is fire. And then all of a sudden, it's like you get the Holy Ghost, the way this soul sample come in, or this soul singing come in. So like, yo, it'd be crazy because the way you're able to like, it could be somebody mind. It don't matter the tone neither. You could just be like hearing the song, and then all of a sudden you got a fire hook and the soul is in there or sample. So what's that like as far as the importance of making sure that soul is in the story? Because that's what I would probably say. It's like soul stories. You know what I'm saying? Like, what gauges of not doing the regular rap hook or the regular R&B? You come with, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't know. It's That's Gil Scott Heron. You know what I mean? So listening to a lot of Gil Scott, his poetry, his storytelling. I think that's probably where that comes from. I'm thinking about damn how I write is like Gil Scott, like Gil Scott mixed with Smokey Robinson. It's complex, but both of them are complex but simple. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Sometimes we from that era of lyrical miracle. You know, a lot of cats went overboard with it, and then some of us learned how to scale it back. I remember I was lyrical miracle for a while,
Yeah,
and me and my
everybody was.
yeah, like it was we got really really learn how to crypt the words, make it real cryptic, and and especially back then we had to, you know what I mean? Uh, but not dumbing it down, but like Gil Scott and Smokey Robinson, they didn't dumb it. That's not dumb. It's just it's I think it's actually a harder skill to make it simple yet and poetic at the same time.
Yeah, it
You know what I mean?
definitely. I definitely
That is a
would.
that is a hard skill.
I definitely would agree. It's definitely like, I try to tell people it's like this. You know, I can tell you, go 3 blocks down, you're gonna see the red house on the right, and then you'll see some lady with a, walking the dog, and then she has a blue mailbox. Then after that, you're gonna make a left, and then you see the McDonald's on the side, and then right next to the other mailbox that's green, then you make a right. When I can do that, or I can do, just go straight down, and when you get to the corner, make a left, and then make another right, and you're there.
Right.
The same directions, you know what I'm
Sure.
saying? And
Yep.
getting straight to the point.
Yep.
So having to figure out how to give these same directions in a message and getting right to the point directly
Right.
without making somebody go, yo, I know you said a red house. That's the red. It looked like the red. Now you causing a little extra like, yo, that's not
Yeah,
the greenhouse.
causing
There's another
confusion.
greenhouse there. It's a little confusion. So trying to figure out how to give that. That's how I look at it. How can I give directions for you to get there in the easiest way of doing it? And that's
And
kind of
still
how I felt.
keeping it palatable as a art, as an
Yeah.
artist too. Keeping it's a tightrope, boy.
It is.
That
It
is
is.
that is a
And
yeah, that's a tightrope.
the integrity of the bars. So
Yep.
when you're crafting, I know I've been to one of your studios before, and when going in the studio, you had the booth there and all of that stuff. What's your atmosphere when creating though? Are you nighttime, morning time? Gotta be dark.
At
What's
this point, it's whenever I can get it.
okay?
At this point, man, like I'm working with my I'm I got my on my hold on. I'm working with my brother right now. I got the glove and the mask, and you know, working with him and working with life. Life be life, and so
Life
now
is
I'm
life.
just trying to get it in when I can, and it's a blessing when I do get to it, because so my atmosphere has to be set. I gotta light an incense. Gotta light an incense. Gotta meditate before. And I've been doing that for a long time. Like before sessions. Um, that's that's the atmosphere. If I can change the lighting, I can do whatever. I just it's a spiritual thing. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Yeah, I just always gotta like fall into it like that. Um, I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's been like that for a long time too.
Yeah, I remember coming to the studio. You definitely was on some like gotta be like dim lit in there. Wasn't no. It was
Yeah.
like it's very like it's about to get crazy. Get about to get real on this right now. Like but
Right.
I think it should be though. It's serious. We're going. I like working. I like being serious in the studio. I like having fun, of course. But I like the fact that we both are coming in like knowing we about to make something for the world, and that's the vibe.
Yeah. Yo.
If
What?
I'm right, I remember
Woo.
if I'm
So
right,
we went to
the studio with you. If I'm right, I'm gonna go to the studio with you. And I was like, I was booking a session to come with you. When I said I'd be in Philly, I was like, yo, what time will be in studio? I think he was like, yo, after evening, like kind of the evening time.
Right.
Yo, right?
Yep.
You was like,
Yep. I don't do nothing before 12.
There we go.
So yeah, I don't do nothing before I gotta eat. And I got a smoothie in the morning. I don't eat solid foods, before 12. I do a smoothie in the morning. I work out, do my prayer. I always gotta raise the chi before I do my prayer, and then meditate, and then 12 o'clock hit, boom.
Yeah, you was like, you had a certain time, because I was like, yo, what about this time? He's like, yeah, I don't do nothing until like a certain time. And I was like,
Right.
all right, cool. That's your vibe. So I always thought that was interesting. Just like, that's why I like asking the question, because I'm more so like, I like nighttime. I like nighttime, kind of quiet, whatever. But like you said, anytime you can now, because you never know. And plus, now we've been doing it so long, it's become, of course, our lifestyle, but it's a business for us at times that
Yeah.
you can't even choose. Hezekiah, like really,
Nope.
it's some.
Nope. You can try to
done.
squeeze. You gotta squeeze it in. But then that's the part, man. That's the part that I don't like, man. It just but then you gotta find a happiness at work. You gotta realize the blessing it is, and just and just remember what you asked for. And when it does become a job, like, yo, you asked for this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You asked for it to be a job. Well, here it is. With great power comes great responsibility. So here it is. Now discipline is your problem, nothing else. And you better find a happiness in it, or you don't want your gift to beat you up. You know? You don't want your blessing to become your, like your curse, then that's all in your head. You gotta figure that out before you start going down that rabbit hole, and then burning all the law of attraction up that was supposed to come with it, because you in Yoruba they got Amdulamari, that's the universe, and then Ori is the origin of the word aura. So Amdulamari gives you 3 gifts through your Ori, and one gift you're natural at. It's the gift that whatever you do, time passes so fast, right? You got 2 other gifts. The other 2 gifts, they're like work. You're natural at it, but they feel like work, right? Your goal is to get to that middle gift. That's the Tao in Buddhism. That's the Tao that you're here now. You're here and now, and the time just goes by, and that's the one you want to get to. But sometimes the universe will push you to the other 2 to balance your life out, and test your discipline, and test your just because that's when you're going through a growth, when you're taken away from the one in the center, because you got to learn something.
Right.
And that's why I like learning all that ancient stuff, because when you tie it with the music, it just all makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's the messages are. I mean, music to me it cures so much social ills a lot of times.
Right.
Like if you're dealing racism to me is like that cure, and it's not a cure like like they say it ends it, but for the time being, you throw music on, everybody rocking with a certain song and so on and so forth. So it's very important to make sure we're crafting music that actually can alter a mindset, reality, things going on, change. So when you're making beats, how do you decide if you keep a beat or to give it to someone? Because I've got mad beats from you, and sometimes
we got a joint coming out too.
Joints, man. How do you decide that?
Okay. You can go to their catalog. You hear the tempos they like to rap to, tempos they like to sing to, but then you also listen to what what their catalog needs, how to enhance it. That's actually a way to look at it. I didn't get that till later. Usually, what I would do, I would just send a bunch of beats out and let everybody else choose. Right. And I'm more like sending 3 beats, and that's it, you know. And usually it's the right ones because I do that process. I started doing that like 2015, 16. I learned that late.
Yeah, you send me a lot of beats and I'd be like in like 8 or 10. I'd be like,
right.
You'd be like, yo, waiting on me. And next thing you know, you be knocking joints out on them. And I'd be like, I would knock joints out on these too if he had somebody waiting that long. Because you make so many dope joints. You know what I'm saying? It's hard for people to kind of like decide which, you know, where to go with it, man. So do you prefer making beats or rapping?
Both. Depends on where I'm at. I like writing raps out of the studio when I'm doing my voice recorder. Right. Rapping feels like work. Making beats feels like the flow. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I love rap. I love rhyming. You know what I'm saying? Dang, I never thought about that. Yeah. And I love rhyming. But I like recording, period.
Right.
But yeah, beats, man. Beats over the rhymes. That's the thing I get lost in. That's my time gonna go by fast. I could lose a whole 10 hours.
And then what's the difference between Johnny Popcorn versus who Hezekiah is?
Raw Road is that project I did with them cats from Poland, Soul Pete and Botzir. That's just another Hezekiah project. That's them on the beats and me rhyming. The difference between Hezekiah and Johnny Popcorn is rapping and singing. You know, Johnny Popcorn, I was 100% singing. And I created it. The difference is it was created out of fear. Johnny Popcorn, actually, in hindsight, now that I look at it. You know what I thought of when I heard Kanye's 808s and Heartbreaks? I was already doing Johnny Popcorn, right? And I thought to myself, damn, he didn't even change his name. He just kept Kanye with he just started singing, right? And I was thinking like, damn, that was kind of brave. That was kind of like brave. That was super brave, man. But, we usually have to create some alter ego. Yeah. To do that, or we'll lose. In hip hop, man, hip hoppers are structured listeners. They're just as structured as the mainstream, in the traditional hip hop world. And
that's some people's favorite. That's some people's favorite Kanye album.
Yeah, some people. Yeah, he created that whole generation. He influenced the whole generation from that album, and but he kept it Kanye. So Johnny Popcorn was just something I wanted. If you listen to Conscious Porn, my third Hezekiah album, I was singing and rapping on that album, and then it was like the criticism I got from it. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, then I think that same year I released that Johnny Popcorn. The year after Conscious Porn, I started releasing Johnny Popcorn albums just to get that out of my system. You know what I mean? And not, like we said, it's business. And I'm like, dang, man, I want to do this. I want to mix the two. But that's what it is now, though. Now I mix the two now. Now it's all in one. It's all one thing now. If you listen to, I have an album called The Universe Does Not Reward Fear. And that's when I started merging them two together. And that album came out like around 2020, top of the pandemic. I released The Universe Does Not Reward Fear.
And then the project with the music and the books, right? You got a project with the music and books and stuff like that.
Limited edition books. Yep.
Yeah. So I want to delve into into the side of you doing the music and books, and you finding it important to have books out that you're doing with the music.
That was you. That was you.
I mean, I know. I spoke to you
years ago. You took my mind, because I was like trying to figure out what to do next. Where am I going with this? What am I like? It has to be more of a purpose. Man, that conversation you gave me like years ago changed my life. And it took a while for me to process how I was going to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Man, thank you.
Oh, thank you, man. But everybody do their thing their own way, man. So
yeah,
I just like the fact that watching the fact that you have this no fear attitude. And when I talk to you all the time, you always have a bigger than life or reality perspective of what you're going to accomplish, and you do it. Right. So that's how I see it with that. So hearing the music, seeing the books and everything that you do, it's always dope to see it, and when you plan it, what I find dope is like you plan it to be artistic, the quality of it too. Like you really care about quality.
I haven't had a label or nothing since forever. So yeah, the quality is important. Like the book, that book, The Universe Does Not Reward Fear, was only like limited edition, 50 copies. Right. We sold them $50 a piece, and they went. And it was just a bunch of like small quotes and through an entire book, and just some thinking pieces.
And then do you get in, like when you have like a creative block, how do you get out of that?
How do I get out of a creative block? I don't. Hold on. Oh yeah. I had a creative block, but that was due distractions.
Okay.
Distractions create creative blocks. So whenever I have a distraction, I have to, it's a rut. So to get out of the rut, you got to figure out the distraction that's keeping you away from your flow. You something backing you up. Something's,
right.
You tight about something. You don't feel it, but something is tight somewhere. So that'll mess. Yeah, stress.
So you just kind of might just basically got to cut people off sometimes and keep it moving.
I go camping. I go to the woods. I go to the woods. I try to do it once a month, man. Yeah.
And you overnight out in the woods?
Yeah, 2 nights. Oh, yeah, pitch a tent. Yo, it's the best. Okay. So check it out.
Yeah, tell us.
It's a dope little. It's a cheap getaway, right? You paying like $35 a night without. That's if you don't. That's just for a plot, right? But then you can pay $45 for a plot with electric and water, right? So you can have your TV or whatever in your tent. You pitch the tent. You got the plot with your water in your joint. $45 a night. Do 2 nights. You know what I'm saying? You sleeping. All you hearing is crickets all around you. You next to motorhomes. People got motorhomes next to you because you took a motorhome slot instead of the tent slot because they allow you to do that, right? Yeah. So yeah, be out there.
I think that's dope because sometimes we got stereotypes for just being black men and might not go camping like that, or they are black men that camp and we don't know about it. So like hearing that for me, because I know my father-in-law, he's into stuff like that, and black guy, but like a lot of times, it's just not our instinct. It's more like, I just gotta get out of here, go out of town. You got people be like, I gotta go, Vegas, I gotta go here and there, but not necessarily deal with like the solitude confinement of going somewhere like I'm going camping, like what I'm saying. That's not
man.
Or
you need it.
Routine.
Yeah, you need it. I mean, it's especially to get out. Like, there's so much going on in cities, and it'll cure. I think a lot of schools should take young black men camping.
Mm-hmm.
They should really, because it gets them away from the you know, I know it sounds Boy Scoutish, but especially as a young teen too,
Right.
man, you know what that'll do to their life? You know what I'm saying? Just to get them away from the energy of a city.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, exposure, man. It's all about exposure and exploration.
Yeah, man. My friends my friends have a farm out in North Carolina. We talking about they're musicians too. They got a studio in their house and everything. But you talking about sitting around making music while you're over top of a bonfire. Talking about this is all black farmers.
Right.
But you're talking about black farmers that also are hip hop. So you out there making music and you on their farm. We work their farm during the day, planting trees and stuff like that. But then we making beats at night and over what? That's the stuff I like, man. That's I'm just like I want to just get away from everything.
No, I love it because it makes me think like I like just doing something kind of different with vibes and going somewhere. We used to go what was that, Bearsville? I've been there years ago. You stay in the mountains and cabins, and they had studios there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So but I think it's important to have exposure. Yo, I tell you, even this, man, like you saying taking kids camping, I took my kids to an Apple store and that blew their mind. That's how real it is.
Yeah.
Some kids never get, because the Apple store is not in our community.
Right.
So we had to travel. It's about like 40 minutes away.
Yeah.
I set up a trip there and blew their mind because they've never been there.
Right, but then
they got the phones, they got the tablets, they got everything, but never.
But they ain't never seen it because they see the Apple Store online, but they don't ever experience it, right? But then there's other instances. Like I told this African girl one time, you gotta go camping. She said, "Huh? You Americans was your camping. Every day was camping in my village." She said, so but it's perspective, right? Yeah. Yeah, man.
But I got one final question for you, man. So what are 3 pieces of your work you would suggest people go check out, man? Like what album or what song, whatever you want them to check out, video. What's 3 things that you'd be like, check this out? Because what's dope, Hezekiah, is what's dope and what's hard about this question to me is there's so many dope songs you did, man. And it's like, but there's, despite how many albums we've done as artists, there's that album that may not even been a single on the album, and you'd be like, I wish you go check that song. You know what I'm saying? And it's like,
I never think, wow.
It mean a lot to you. I got songs that I'll say that's on albums that were never singles, but like, man, go check this one. You know what I'm saying?
Word. That Raw Road CD, that Raw Road, I like that. Hurry Up and Wait. But that's a given though. Ishe Hezekiah Project. I'm gonna say that. Ishe, Until We Win, Wordsworth.
Oh man,
that joint with Range the Messenger. That beat that you picked, it was perfect because I think Range had just sang the hook not too long before you picked it.
Yeah, that was a perfect song for me too.
Yeah, man. And I think I just made that joint too. It was right on time. Your voice and your flow on that joint. That's literally like for real one of my favorite joints.
Thanks, man.
Like because the way it came together, the voices on it, you and Range's voice complement each other so well. The subject matter, Till We Win is dope.
But I like I like your Johnny Popcorn stuff. To be real,
Totem pole. Totem. Yeah, see how I do? Totem pole. Yeah, Johnny Popcorn. Totem pole.
yeah,
That album right there.
Yo, because when not only when I heard it, but then when you start putting the visuals and stuff for it too. But
right.
Man, I just thought it was another bag that you got in that actually deserve maybe even like the placements on movies and you know what I'm saying? Like you hit a range with it that was so universal that if it was on the Grammy night, the world would be able to absorb it. So you make big records like that. So that's why I want to make sure I shout out a project like that, because you make these songs that of course may not get their due now, but that's what's so dope about music now. Like it can be forever. It could be 100 years from now. It could be 200 years from now. But that's what's dope about it. It doesn't matter when somebody hear it, but when they hear it, it's still gonna be fire. But the albums like that, like the Johnny Popcorn, just hearing you go another range and level with it for me, and it'd be dope. Cause I didn't know what it was gonna be, and then you start hearing it, and I was like, yo, this is right here. This needs to be like nominated. You know what I'm saying? So man. I would tell people to check the Johnny Popcorn out if you're a fan of Hezekiah stuff. Check that out, because I think that will give you an idea of his musicality, his soulfulness, his integrity, his passion for the music, his thoughtfulness for the music.
Man.
Yeah, man, because I talk to you. So I talk to you and I know how much you care about making music and of it. So I gotta make sure I could keep going. The delight of what you get from making it. I can keep going about
we have these conversations. Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I know how much you love the music, man. So I want to make sure people understand that. But yeah, man, give your social media and stuff where people could check you out, or websites.
Can I say one thing too?
Say whatever you want, man.
Because you and I we got new music coming out. We got Wordsworth is on his mixtape Cure for the Common Soul Volume 5, The Year of the Dragon, mixed by Mr. Sonny James. New music, Wordsworth, new music from other artists that I'm coming out with music, new releases, and a bunch of music from some cats that you may have missed that I produced. And I think the song we got features Ralph Real from Good Company is on that joint.
Yep.
And that song has no hook.
Yeah.
That song has no hook.
That's another soulful record, man. But you can say whatever you want on here that you need people to know.
Rest in peace, Chino XL. He has a song on that joint, man. We was working on an EP.
Wow.
And man, a whole EP. And I only got one of the songs, and he recorded the whole project.
Man, rest in peace to Chino XL. I remember meeting him. I met him one time when I lived in Cali. Just met him outside one time. We was living in Cali doing the Lyricist Lounge at the time. So that's a long time ago. But like the mutual respect as just as lyricist has always been dope.
Yes.
And the fact that when you talk about a fearless rapper, he may have been the most fearless rapper, saying anything outlandish about anyone and anybody at any time. And you ain't know if you was gonna catch a bar or not. But Chino XL did not care. Chino XL did not care about what you thought. He's gonna rap about you.
I'm gonna say it. My favorite line, I punch a hole through your chest. I punch a hole through your chest and give a pound to the man behind you. That's crazy.
Chino did and that's what's so dope about Chino XL for sure. But what's your social media website? Instagram. What's the Instagram people need to go check?
Hezekiah 3RD, Hezekiah 3rd, or Hezekiah Colors.
Okay.
Hezekiah Colors or Hezekiah 3rd, yep. Because that's a whole nother project too, Hezekiah Colors, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, man. You know, anytime, man. So Man, Hezekiah, it's been an honor having you on here, man. I think people are gonna be blown away by the fact that you were rhyming on here, giving bars, a lot of stuff you were doing on here, man. Honestly, for me, it's been the first from some of my guests, so it's been dope to just witness the soul that comes across the screen as you're on the interview, man. So I really appreciate you sharing that soul with me, man. And
I appreciate you too, bro.
Yes, sir. Everybody out there, make sure you go check out all the Hezekiah products and projects and everything, man. And like I always ask you guys out there, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you click like, subscribe, comment. Links in the description. I'm gonna have links in the description for Hezekiah. So make sure you click on that. And like I always say, y'all, what are your words worth? Peace. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.